On a cold winter evening in early 1959, 10 young hikers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute set out on a challenging expedition into the northern Ural Mountains in Russia. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was a 23-year-old radio engineering student, experienced, ambitious, and determined to guide his companions to the remote peak known as Ural. The trek was slated to earn them grade III hiking certifications, the highest qualification for winter traversal in the Soviet Union. Little did they know that this journey would become one of the most perplexing tragedies in mountaineering history. Their plan began smoothly, traveling first by train to a small town named Ivdel, then by truck to an even smaller settlement called Vizhay. The group was in high spirits. Photographs at the time show 9 men and 2 women, smiling in the biting cold, confident in their abilities. Not long after departing Vizhay, one of the participants, Yuri Yudin, became ill and was forced to turn back. This left 9 hikers, 8 men and 2 women, to push on through the swirling snow and steep slopes. In diaries later found in their abandoned tent, the group recorded mundane details like weather observations and jokes shared around the campfire, building a picture of a cohesive, well-prepared team. On January 31, the 9 hikers reached the edge of a highland area near Khalat Siyakl, a mountain whose name, ominously, is sometimes translated as Dead Mountain in the local Mansi language. Because of worsening weather, snowstorms, howling winds, and limited visibility, they lost their direction the next day and decided to set up camp on an exposed slope. It was an unusual choice, since a sheltered spot in the nearby forest offered more protection from the elements. Yet, some suggest that Dyatlov wanted to practice camping on a slope, or simply did not wish to lose the elevation they had gained. The diaries go silent after this, and we can only imagine the fear and confusion that soon struck them. When the hikers failed to return on schedule, no one panicked at first. Delays for such wilderness expeditions were relatively common. By February 20, however, family members demanded a search operation. Volunteer students from Dyatlov's institute, local police, and eventually the Soviet army mobilized to scour the rugged mountain terrain. 6 days later, on February 26, they stumbled upon a tragic sight. The group's tent was half collapsed and partially covered in snow. Strangely, the tent had been cut open from the inside, as if its occupants had frantically hacked their way out. Even more puzzling were the footprints leading down the slope, footprints of people walking and not running, many of them without proper footwear. It appeared the trekkers had left in a hurry but were not in the throes of mass panic. Following those tracks, the searchers came to a large pine tree where they discovered the first 2 bodies, shoeless and dressed only in underclothes. These men appeared to have tried lighting a small fire, perhaps in a desperate attempt to stay warm in sub-zero temperatures. Broken branches indicated that someone had climbed the tree, possibly to glimpse the campsite higher up the slope. Further along the route between the tree and the tent, rescuers found 3 more bodies, including Igor Dyatlov himself, spaced out as though they had been attempting to crawl back to the tent for shelter or supplies. It took another 2 months until the remaining 4 hikers were located deeper in the forest, beneath 4 meters of snow, near a ravine and a small running stream. Upon closer inspection, the circumstances of death became even more complex. 6 had succumbed to the bitter cold, dying of hypothermia. However, 3 others had severe physical trauma. 1 had a crushed skull, 2 had massive chest fractures, and one of these victims was also missing her tongue, an eerie detail that sparked widespread speculation. Some of the deceased had injuries to their eyes, lips, or eyebrow areas, but forensic experts noted that these could be explained by natural processes in the stream where the bodies lay for months. Even so, rumors swirled. People whispered about a violent attack by local Mansi tribes, secret military tests, UFOs, or a supernatural force. The official investigation concluded with the ambiguous phrase that a compelling natural force had caused the tragedy, providing little closure. Over time, the Dyatlov Pass Incident, named for Igor Dyatlov, though the actual site lies about 1,700 meters away from the literal pass, became a subject of intense speculation in the Soviet Union and beyond. First, there was the avalanche theory. Perhaps the campers, sensing the threat of a slab of snow cascading down the slope, had cut their tent to escape and were then overwhelmed by the cold. Yet many experts questioned why. If there had been an avalanche, the tent itself remained only partially buried. Others argued for a rare meteorological phenomenon like katabatic winds, so strong that they forced the group to leave camp in the dead of night. Some pinned the blame on secret weapons testing, pointing to the small amounts of radiation found on some clothing. Still others suggested infrasound waves might have triggered paranoid confusion. The case never fully disappeared from the public eye. Decades later, the Russian authorities reopened an investigation in 2019 with a particular focus on avalanche-related scenarios. In 2020, prosecutors announced that a small, localized slab avalanche accompanied by extreme weather was the most likely explanation. The group's tent site was precarious, and once the snow began to slide, experts suspect the hikers believed a large-scale avalanche was imminent. In a panic, they left for safer ground but tragically succumbed to hypothermia before they had any chance to reclaim the tent or gather proper footwear and clothing. Supporting this scenario, a 2021 study used modern simulations to show that the injuries, particularly the crushing chest wounds, might result from a compact slab of snow striking the hikers as they lay inside their tent. Still, not everyone is satisfied with these newer official explanations. Conspiracy theories continue to circulate. Stories of radioactive weapons testing, top-secret missile launches, or cryptic military cover-ups. Others wonder if an animal or a series of small but devastating incidents occurred. Some hikers freezing, others scraping clothing from the deceased in a known phenomenon known as paradoxical undressing, or even an unfortunate tumble into the ravine that caused blunt force injuries. There is little doubt that the group, wearing thin layers in such treacherous conditions, had no real chance of survival once they were forced out of their tent into the fierce weather. Today, the Dyatlov Pass Incident stands as a haunting reminder of the dangers hidden in the snowy wilderness, as well as the power of rumor and speculation to fill the void left by incomplete evidence. Tourists and researchers still visit the area, where a memorial rock outcrop has been erected in memory of the group. The old case files, diaries, and forensic reports, from the 1959 inquest to the re-examined modern-day conclusions, continue to be analyzed by both amateurs and professionals alike. Some do it in search of absolute truth. Others are simply drawn by the deep-seated human fascination with unsolved mysteries. And perhaps that is the lasting legacy of these 9 hikers who ventured into the cold. Their story underscores humanity's desire to understand the unknown and to honor those who lost their lives in pursuit of adventure. The Dyatlov Pass Incident reminds us that nature, in all its beauty and grandeur, can turn perilous with terrifying swiftness. Even the bravest, most prepared explorers can be caught unaware. While many experts now endorse the avalanche explanation, there is a sense that some questions linger. The battered tent, the missing clothing, the contradictory details of injuries. Each element remains a puzzle piece that might never slot together perfectly. Yet the memory of these hikers, the lively young people inspired to test their limits in the Ural Mountains, indoors in each new discussion, documentary, or expedition in search of resolution. And so, we remember them, not solely as victims of a harsh winter's night, but as explorers whose remarkable tale continues to intrigue the world well over half a century later.